Welcome to a new video in my home automation series, and this time I'm going back to Dashboard 2.0 for Node-RED. And actually this is something that I've done a long time ago, but I got sidetracked with other projects and I didn't make a video. So for my upload, so my file browser, I wanted to add an upload functionality so I can upload some files. So I started looking into this issue, well, not really issue, so this new stuff, because I noticed that in the Vuetify components there is something specific which in the input forms, I think, yeah, there is one which is called a file input. So that these are the typical components that you can configure so you can upload files. You click on it, you select a file, and then it supports all sort of stuff, like you can select multiple files, and you can show it as separate ones, and then there are things here where you can add things like it's going to count how many files you selected and the total size, and it also shows you the file size. And I mean, I just like the fact that you can select multiple files. I think that is quite useful in certain cases. And yeah, so there is a lot of option here. So I started playing around with it, and now I'm going to talk you through some of these examples. They are going to be fairly similar examples. I just played a little bit around, like, how it sort of works and stuff, and how I can tweak it to use it for different file types. And so here we are going to see a very simple example which just reads a file, which, let's say, a text file, and displays it on the screen. So that was the basic example I started with, and I thought I can use this to in cases where you don't necessarily need the content of the file, or sorry, not necessarily need the file itself, but you want to process the content immediately, so you don't have to upload it to the server, just read it from the computer. So that's the first example. And then we have a next example where we upload file from the client to Node-RED. And I also played around with a little bit more where you can select, sorry, it also shows a progress when it is being uploaded. And I also played around with multiple files, and we are going to see. Caveat, unfortunately, it doesn't work with big files. And I have no idea whether that's the limitation of the dashboard or 2.0 or something else. But what I noticed that it works fine as long as I upload files to up to about 1 megabyte. But then after that, it just sort of like loses connection. I can see some error messages in the debug screen, but I couldn't really figure out what it is. And I also asked in the forum, but there was no response to that. So maybe it will get fixed in a new version. Maybe it is related to my system. I don't know. So just, I wanted to get this out beforehand. Okay, so for the first example, we are going to see how you can just upload a simple text file. So here you select a text file, text file, and then you read, and then it shows you that the content of the file. And by the way, here you can see that you can only select TXT files, so we are able to control what type of files you can select. And as I said, maybe there are some cases where you have some settings in a file, you read it, you want to, I don't know, maybe work with those settings, so you don't necessarily have to create the file in Node-RED, just read it and do something with that. And here in this example, so this is the basic file reader example. As you can see, it has no inputs and outputs, so that basically just reads up the file, and yeah, you can do something with the content. It's put into a container, and in the container we have a row, and then it has two columns, and in one of the columns we have a card which has a title, which is this one, and then within the text area we have the v file input. So that's the file input component, and then we say that it should only accept text files. You can add the label, so that's this label which is appearing here. And it is outlined, so that's basically just the appearance. So you can look at the various different appearance options here. So outlined, I think, is the basic one, and it is linked to a well, the model or a variable which is called the chosen file. And in the actions, we have a button which is the read file. So that's the button that you can see here. And also we have a second column, well, actually second row, no, second column within that, which says the file contents here. And well, sorry, that's a separate card. So this is why it is rendered with a, with a bracket or outline. And in the card text, we are just going to display the variable data. So, fairly simple. So in the definition, so the export, we define the chosen file and the data. We set it to null. So these are our variables that we are going to work with. And oh, by the way, I think I must have. Yeah, and when you click when you click on the read file, it calls the method import text. So the import text method, it checks whether there is anything in the chosen file, and then if it's not empty, then it checks whether. So actually, what happens here is that this chosen file is not. It's an array which stores all the files that got selected. So we checked whether the length is 1. So if it's not 1, then we say that you are supposed to select only one item. But if we selected one item, we create this file reader component or object, and it has a method. So it's called a reader, and it has a method which says read as text, and then this chosen file 0. So that's the first selected file. And then we also have to define an event callback. So what happens? It has an onload event, and it successfully loads the file from the computer, and then we just pass the result, which is the file content, into the this.data, and that automatically displays it here. So this is why the file content is appearing here. So this is my text file. So if I select something else, oh, I don't want to select something big because that's just going to break the screen by rendering some huge text. But that's it. So as you can see, it doesn't send anything, it doesn't do anything, but you have a text file. So maybe, so for example, if you read it as a JSON, so the file that is a JSON, then you can, maybe parse it, do something with that, send part of that in as a message object, with this.send. And so that was just the first example, simple, reading text file, reading content of a file. So the next one is file upload. So the way it works is you have a file, you click, as you can see, it doesn't have any restrictions on what you can upload. So I can upload this JPEG, it's 700K, and I click upload, and then it, I think maybe this was the, yeah. So you can see, well, actually what we are supposed to see, some, output here, but it didn't happen because I think this was too big as well. So I wasn't sure about this 1 megabyte limit, but it seems that this 700K was too much. And what you would notice here is that if I open the debugger, if I open the console, this is what you would notice, that I get this SIO disconnect transport close and SIO connected. I have no idea what that means, but that's the message that I get if I upload a too big file. And all you noticed in the UI is that the UI sort of resets. But let me pick something smaller. So, like a small JPEG like this one. Upload. And actually, I think it's already did that. Yeah. So you can see that we have uploaded the file, and well, in this example, I'm just sending the file as a message. So I think probably it is better that I pick my text file example. Am I still in downloads? Test. Yeah. So upload. Tick. So it doesn't reset the UI, and you can see that that's the message that I got out of this node. And you can see that in the payload, sorry, in the file object, I get that's the file that I've uploaded. So that was the file name that I selected, and it's typed plain text, and that was the content. So this is my file. So that was that was within the text file. So if you want a simple example where you read the file and you want to send the content of the file in a message, that's the example that you can use. And that is going to be fairly similar to the previous one. As you can see, I pretty much do the same thing as before. Obviously, I don't have the, I renamed this to uploaded file. I don't have a section where it displays the data, but then in the onload method, I create a message. So the topic is upload, that you can see here, and in the payload, I put the reader.result. And in the file, I also create a file object which contains the file name, the file size, and the file type. So that's what you could see in the message. So, and then you can use this, and then you can use this message to do something else. Like, you know, if you don't want to create a file, but maybe again, if it's a JSON, you want to process it within Node-RED, you can just send it as a message. Simple. And the next example I wanted to do is this one, where I create the file, sorry, I upload the file, and I want to create it or save it in Node-RED. So here let me pick like an image, this one. So I click on upload, and then, well, it shows me the progress bar, but it's so quick that it doesn't really do much. But at least it says at the end that the file is uploaded successfully. And if I look at the debugger, then I can see as well that I have a file. It also contains the payload, which is binary, so it's not really useful, but in the file I can see that this was the JPEG that got uploaded, that was the size, and it's an image JPEG. So again, you can use this information if you want to, you know, do something with it. And here what I have done is I set here that I want to set the message.file name, so this is just a change road, to /home/enigma/ and the message.file.name, so that's the file names which got selected in the file input dialog, and I send it to a file write node. So that would take the file name from the msg.file name, and of course the payload is the payload, which is, in this case, it's a binary buffer, and that's just going to get created as a file. And if I go back to, so this was m5w. So if I just use my file browser, refresh, yeah, so, and it's here, and you can see that it's some image that I uploaded, and it works. It read an image, it created that image file correctly without any issues, so that's definitely working. It was the data entry new. Yep. So here the code is a slightly bit more complicated again. So the upper part is pretty much the same as the previous one. I just changed the title here, and again the model for the file upload is called the upload file, and then I also have a linear progress which has a color, and then it has a text in it as well. So here you can see that it has, let's say light blue, and it has a text, select the file and click file upload, or upload file. And then we just have a button. And I have a few new variables here. So uploaded file, we have a progress, which is the percentage, and we have a progress text, which is select the file and click upload file. And then we have a color, which is light blue. So that's renders the default state of this component here. And in the, when you click on upload file, the method, again, I just renamed it, it's called start upload. Yeah, it's again, we are checking, we have selected only one file, and then, and here the reader is reading an array buffer. Actually, so previous examples, we read it as a text file. I noticed that you can use these sort of interchangeably because the end result seems to be the same. So if it's text file, you see the payload as text. If you read it as an array buffer, you see it. If it's a text file, you still see it as a text. But I thought for a generic upload, using the read as array buffer is probably a better way to use that, or better method to use. And we also have the onload event here. So when the file is fully loaded, then we send, it's pretty much the same as in the previous example. So if we send a message with topic upload, the payload is the upload file. And then we also create this file object which contains the name, the size, and the type. And then we change the progress to upload it successfully. And here I have created a few other examples how you can, track the progress. So there is an event which is called the onload start. So that's when loading starts. And you can see that I set the progress to 0% and I change it to light blue. If there is an error, I change the text to red, and I change the color to red, and I change the text to failed and an error message. If it's on abort, which I don't know how it's going to happen because I don't have an abort button, but that's also an event which exists in this reader object or this file reader. So then you can do aborted, and then and within in the normal on progress, this is how I can update the progress itself. So it is so you can get how much is loaded and how much is the total, and you can just calculate percentage. And with a parseInt, I just drop all the decimal places. So I update the progress and I update as a text as well. But as I said, it happens so quickly that you don't really see these changes. And even if you look at these events, obviously this event doesn't fire every time. For such a small file, I think it probably fires like only 2 or 3 times. Obviously for a bigger file, it would fire a lot of times, but then again, as you see, the dashboard sort of times out, so I couldn't test that. I don't know how I can make it to accept a really large file. So that's how the single upload works, and it just creates the file. It works great. So the last example is pretty much the previous one, but I wanted to show how you can create multiple files. So let's say I want to create these two, want to upload these 2 files. So again, I was just playing around with the UI a little bit. You can see that now it shows the 2 files with the file name, and it shows them as chips, as opposed to the, the previous UI, which only shows it as a, that only allows one file name to be selected anyway. And then you click on upload, and then it uploads the files. So this version doesn't update the screen either, but you can see the 2 files that are created here. So the structure is the same. So you have the file names and upload, and you can see the content here. And then it goes through the same example as I have done it previously. So basically it just sends a message for every single file that got uploaded. And the code is very, very similar here as well. So we have an input, the file input. Here, as you can see, I have configured it as chips. So that's responsible for, putting the files in a sort of like a chip, that's rounded rectangle thingy. Show the size and allow multiple. And also have a counter, which is supposed to show the counter here, but I think what is really happening here is that this, I think it should show a counter here that I selected 2 files in 300 kilobytes in total. And it did work in the past, so I'm not sure why it's not working. On the method side, the code is a little bit complicated. So here we check that we have selected at least 1 file, so the length is not 0, and basically I just loop through the upload file. As I said, it's an array of all the files that you have selected, so I'm just going to loop through each of them, and for every single entry in that array, I create a I create this whole structure of, I create a new instance of the file reader, I read it as an array buffer, and on the onload event, I create the message. So that's the message that you have seen here. Don't ask me why they are disappearing from the debug. I've never seen this before. I don't know why this is happening. Here the total is the total number of files that I've selected, and then it updates the loaded every time a new file is loaded, and then when the loaded equals the total, then upload is complete. So you can handle the complete upload here if you want to send an extra message or you want to update the UI. I haven't really done anything with this, and I also included here the progress, which again I haven't really used it, but if you want to update a progress, you can use the example that I've done here. Maybe you just use a separate calculation method in order to track the progress across multiple files. It shouldn't be that hard because you have all the information there. So that's it. That's how it works. It's fairly easy to use. I mean, I would be happy if I can somehow resolve the file limitation issue or file size limitation issue. I'm pretty sure I would get there at some point, but I couldn't really figure out, and I wanted to get this video out because in fact I've already implemented this functionality into my file browser extension thingy, and so you can see the upload here, and so that works quite well, and I want to get that out as a video as well, and maybe I'm just going to revisit this whole problem once I have a solution for the file size issue. So I think that would be all for today. If you're interested in this flow, I mean, it's not a huge amount of code and flow, then you will find the link in the video description. But that will be all for today. Thanks for watching, and hopefully see you in the next video.